Hey everyone. I started a little early, few seconds too soon, but I just wanted to check whether everything's working. And it looks like it is. So here we go. If something's wrong, just ping me in chat. I can see it on my right screen over here. So hello everyone. Thanks for joining this stream. I'm Brent. I'm a developer at Spatie, and you might know me from some of the courses that I and my colleagues made together, and some of the streams I did with Frick here on this channel. I want to do some pair programming with you today. We're going to build an event-sourced feature in our Spatie website. And maybe you're already up to speed with what event sourcing is about. Maybe not. So let me quickly share my screen over here. We recently made a course about event sourcing because we're using it in our projects. It's a great way to build complex process flows. And there are a lot of little details associated with it. So it was really good to bundle everything together in a book and a video course. And if you're interested about that course and everything that we cover in it, you can go to eventsourcinglaravel.com. But with that out of the way, let me jump straight into what I want to talk about today. I've got an event storming diagram over here. And this is a way to model event-sourced systems. It doesn't cover everything in detail, but it gives a nice overview about what we want to build today. And so maybe you're familiar with, let me grab it real quick, with our Spatie website. I should put it on this screen. Yes. A few months ago, maybe a few years ago, we added our profiles to our website and as a way to buy products from our store, but you can also connect to GitHub. And we were thinking it would be nice to have a little bit more interaction with the people who contribute to all of our open source code. And so what we want to do is add some kind of experience system. So every time you submit a pull request, you'll gain some experience on your Spatie profile, and you can do several things with that. You can earn achievements or badges or small rewards. Maybe we will add some more features based on it in the future. But what I want to focus on today is building the core system behind that. And we're going to do that with event sourcing, because events are a great way to model these kinds of processes, things that happen over time, and that we might want to build other things with in the future. For example, just going to add some kind of experience points to it now. Let's say we want to add levels in the future and new achievements based on those. We can just replay all our events and we will get a new feature with all data in the past included in it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And let me grab my Excalibur over here. I made a little diagram here. I'm going to expand on it during the stream as well. I hope so, if I've got enough time. Let's take a look at what's happening here. We have an experience earned event. The events are the orange cards. And we have an achievement unlocked events. And those will be the two main actors in our domain for now. We have few commands to actually trigger the events. We have a reactor, and a reactor is a class that listens to events and moves the business flow forward. And so you can imagine whenever a user earns experience, there might be a chance that achievements are triggered. So that's what this reactor is for. And this is the place where the real cool business logic will happen. Let me zoom in a little bit. Frick says it's a little small. Here you go. And we also have another reactor here that will listen for achievement unlocked and will probably send a mail or some kind of notification to users depending on their preference. And finally, we have a few read models over here to actually store the result of our events. Those will be separate tables, but I'll cover that in a minute. Finally, we have some external systems, and I just listed some IDs over here. Maybe we can earn experience when one of our pull requests were merged. We were also thinking about giving experience for completing a video in one of our courses. Maybe when you buy a book or something, because you can't really track the progress of reading an offline book. And maybe we were thinking about adding redeem codes as a way to interact with people on conferences, stuff like that, so that you can come talk to us and maybe gain some experience by doing so. But we probably won't cover all of this today. I want to focus on what really makes the business logic, and that's this part over here. So let's go in our code. You won't see any interface work or anything today. We'll just write tests to check whether the things we've written actually work. I've got an empty domain experience folder over here. Just decided to call it experience for now. We might come up with a better name in the future. And I was a little distracted by the comments. Yeah, by reactor we mean policy. In our package, it's called reactor, but it's the same as policy or process manager, or whatever name you might want to come up with. We call them reactors. So experience, let's start by come back to our diagram. We'll focus on experience earnings for now. So we have an experience earned event and a user experience projection. So let's use the diagram to guide us. So projections, we're going to need events and experience earned. Let me, like so. Good. Experience earned is an event that should be stored, and we're using our event sourcing package, of course. I'm going to assume you know what that is about. If not, there's a great course out there that you can use to know, to learn everything about it. And let's add some properties here. If someone earns experience, there's probably some kind of email associated with that event, the email of the person earning the experience. We will assume email is always present. That brings me to the second property here, and that's a user ID. Now, this is important because we won't assume everyone is registered on our Spatie website, and that's okay. You don't have to, but we still want to keep track of experience points for people who are very active on GitHub, right? And so we will keep track of the user ID, but it's optional. Okay. Next, we will register an amount of experience points being earned. I can imagine if you got a pull request merged, you will get more experience points compared to, for example, completing a video in one of the courses. And finally, I also want to associate some kind of type with this event. And depending on where this event comes from, it might be useful to store that kind of type in the event itself. And let's actually make an enum for that. Experience type, let's call it. We're using our Spatie enum package, more specifically the Laravel wrapper around it so that we can use it in models. And let's just list a few options. Let me take a look. Pull request. And video completion, let's call it like that. And maybe a product sale and redeem code. Not sure what that will be about, but we'll keep it for now. So let's also add a method over here because we want to associate an amount of experience points with this enum. So we'll just implement get amount and return a match. We're going to do it like this. Pull request value and so pull request, maybe let's say 20 points. We can change all of this in the future. Video completion, probably only 10. Forward sale, probably also only 10. And redeem code, well, we don't actually know what this will be. So let's just use a placeholder of 10 as well. And maybe let's make this 50 and sale 20, something like that. Okay, so we have our experience type here. Any errors still? Need a semicolon. Good. Back to our event. Let's change the type to experience type so that we have proper type hinting. Okay, that's the first part done. We have an experience earned event, but we also want a projection to resemble that event in a database table. And I've actually already made a migration user experiences, I think I call it. Yeah. You'll recognize the properties over here: email, user ID, amount, and type. So let's quickly go ahead and add that one. What's it called? User experience. I'm going to suffix it with projection, just for clarity. And let's extend projection from our package as well. And because there's a different name, I'm going to specifically say it has to use this table. And maybe also add some casts. This is just a basic model, Laravel model, with some added restrictions to it. It's basically a read-only model unless you specifically say you want to write information. So casts, let's have a look. Email user ID amount should be an integer. Good, and type will be an enum, which is experience type. And this is possible because of our Laravel integration with our enum package. Okay, so we've got an event over here. We have a projection to actually be able to do something with the event. We still need a projector. And let's call this the user experience projector. That stands for projector class over here. And here we're going to listen for the event and actually save the projection in the database. So on experience earned, like so, experience earned will never return anything. And we're going to create, I can do it like this, user experience projection, new writable. And this is what I was talking about. That model is only writable when you explicitly tell it to be. And we're going to create, just quickly copy all of this. So, and pass the data from the event. So event email, event user ID, event amount, and event. Okay, good. So this is some boilerplate code in place. Now we actually need a way to call all of this. So let's make an experience aggregate root, which extends from aggregate roots. Yep. And let's add a simple method right now. I'm not sure if I should call it earn or add, but I think I prefer add. It's going to record an event, a new experience earned event, more specifically with an email and stuff like that. Let me copy this over, and I'm going to make some changes here. because we don't really need amount. We get that from the type. So let's do email. Email type is type value. Really dislike PHP Storm's formatting on named arguments. The amount is type get amount. And finally, there's the user ID. In me expect it. Yes, I should just provide type like so. And now they're in the wrong order, but that's fixed like this, semicolon. Okay. So now we have a way to interact with all the code that we've written, and we're going to write a test. So a little bit of cleanup. Just write test case. Test add. Okay, we start with a UID. And what I'm testing here will be very high level integration tests, probably because they are the fastest way to test lots of code and allow me to keep moving forward. So I'm going to create a UID, and this is something that should happen from within a controller or an application service somewhere. We're really testing the outer boundary of the experience aggregate that we've created over here. Okay, so we're going to retrieve our experience aggregate root, experience aggregate root, retrieve, give it a UID. And next, we're going to trigger an event, and we're going to assert whether the projection is actually stored in the database, which means that all the steps that it goes through are triggered correctly. So let's call add test spaCy. A user ID, we're going to keep that null for now. And experience type, let's pull request, like so. And of course, what we shouldn't forget to do is persist the aggregate root. And that reminds me, I should return myself over here, like so. Okay. Our test in place, and now let's actually make an assertion. Assert. Let's look at the database, new user experience projection, and let's get this table. And we're going to assert that there's a record with the email test at spaCy.be and the amount. Not sure how much was associated with the pull request type, but let's just get it like so. And let's run this test and let's see what happens. Okay, passes, great. There's one change I want to propose to whatever we did here, just to make it a little bit more easy to use from the outside, right? And that's adding our newly created command bus. And command bus is a new feature in version 5 of our event sourcing package. So let's create a command. Let's call it add experience, like so. Commands are useful little classes, and we can use attributes to automatically wire them together to an aggregate root. So if we call handle by over here, I would say the experience aggregate root, like so. Whenever we dispatch this command, which is a simple object, the command bus will look for the experience aggregate root and retrieve the proper instance. And to do that, we need one more property over here, and that's the string, the UID, which is the UID we created earlier. I mean, we need to denote it as an aggregate UID, like so. Okay, so we're moving some code around now. Let me get our aggregate open over here. Close this. So instead of passing all of this data, we're just going to accept an add experience command, like so. And now we're going to add some getters on this command, and that will make it it will allow for some very useful things. Because if you remember, we had all these properties, so email, user ID, and type. I'm going to remove user ID. Only going to need email and type. Let's import this one, and let's add some getters. So get email is the easiest, like so. But also add get user ID to be a nullable integer. And we're going to let the command handle the kind of behind the scenes stuff of resolving a user. From the outside, we will always have an email address. So we basically just want to find a user with that email address. And if it exists, we will return the ID. This query, let's call where email is this email. This might return null, so we need to use the optional operator here, and we'll return the ID, like so. Moving on to get amount. Let's return this type get amount, and also get type, experience type. And another interesting thing to mention is that we're only we've kind of hard-coded amounts over here in our enum. But like I said, redeem codes, they might have different kinds of amounts associated with them. And that's something we could handle in this command as well. So we might want to do a check on if this type equals experience type redeem code. We might want to do some logic over here. We won't implement it right now, but that's one of the benefits of using commands. So we've got our command in place, and we still need to make some changes over here, of course. Let's just command get email, get user ID, command get amount, and command get type. And note, I could also do get type get amount over here, right? I just find it easier to not having to worry about those kinds of implementation details in my aggregate root. I'm working from the point of view of user experience over here, and I'll just assume that whatever is in the command is the proper value. You missed the first on the query. Yeah. Thanks. Okay, moving on to our test now. This, of course, fails because we're manually using our aggregate roots, and I will remove all of this and resolve the command bus from the container. Okay, and we're going to dispatch this command, and so this is what you would do in a controller or whatever kind of application service. So this is really the way we're going to use this this module, this aggregate from the outside. So let's dispatch a add experience command. The nice thing is we only need to pass it the email and type anymore. Of course, also the UID test as Pasi said. Good. And the type was experience type pull request. Okay, let's rerun a test. I didn't write a return probably. Yeah. Okay. Nice. So I really like this approach of using commands that are automatically mapped to aggregate roots, because commands only ever have one handler. Since their handler can actually say stop, they can throw an exception to tell something is wrong in the command cannot be executed. So I really like this approach. Freek says I can use firstware, but I don't like the magic methods, because there used to be not so good auto-completion, but that might have changed with the Laravel IDE plugin. I haven't tried it out, but this is the way I used to write it. Let's revisit our diagram over here. So we have actually called this add experience. Makes a little bit more sense, I think. We've implemented these three. Now we're going to look at the real fun stuff. So I'm going to create a very, very simple, maybe even naive implementation of achievements. They're only going to have a name and user attached to them, because I really want to focus on this reactor here, but we do need these things in place. I'm also going to ignore emails for now. So we're going to do kind of the same dance again. And as far as I'm concerned, for now, achievements, they belong in the same aggregate for now. Maybe if they grow too large, we will refactor them to their separate aggregate, but we'll just add them over here. So we have achievement unlocked, an achievement unlocked event, which should be stored. And like I said, I'm only going to associate a user and some kind of title with the achievement for now. Name or title. Title is probably better. And yeah, I'm also going to reuse our email user ID combo just to make sure we can also add achievements for people who aren't registered. And we might actually extract this to some kind of value object later down the line. Let's add a quick migration. Create, I don't know what name, user achievements table. Like so. User achievements. And I'm actually going to copy some of that code over here and email user ID. Like so. And finally, we also want a string field called title, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's add a projection as well, which is the achievement, the user achievement projection. Okay. We will need, I don't think we actually, oh yeah, we need a table thing over here, user achievements. So that's enough for now. We'll also need a projector, user achievement projector, user achievement projector. User achievement projection, of course. And I'm actually going to migrate first and generate my IDE helper files so that I get proper auto-completion here. Oh yeah, email ID, I could keep those. And there was the title as well. Achievement unlocked event, of course. Like so. Okay, good. And that's everything in place over there. And we want to add a method. Well, I'm going to, yeah. Okay, I'm going to add it. Let's add the unlock achievement command as well. Handled by the experience aggregate root. And it has, I'm going to some stuff over from here, an email and a title. Okay, that's good. Let's also do all of this. Get title, the last one. Okay. And finally, our aggregate roots. Unlock achievement, which takes the unlock achievement command. And returns itself. And we're going to record that new achievement unlocked with paste. Like so. Okay, one final test. Basically going to be test unlock achievement. Like so, and we have, I'm just going to call it a title. Let's have a look whether this one passes. It doesn't. What did I call it differently? No. From user experiences in, oh yeah, of course, user achievements, projection. So we have achievements and experiences. And now the fun part, we're going to think about how we're going to link them together. So one of the ideas we had is that if you earn such X amount of experience, you will get an achievement. And this could be a repeatable one. For example, the first 100 experience is an achievement, the next 1,000, 2,000, stuff like that. But we also have some other things we want to take into account. For example, when you complete a course, that could be an achievement, right? For example, if you got something loud outside, if you got 10 or 50 or 100 PRs merged, that's probably a good achievement as well. And yeah, these requirements indicate that we do want to listen to experience earned in some cases, but it also means that there probably are other events that we're still missing here. We could work with experience earned because it has that type variable in it, but I don't really find that expressive. It would work. So imagine that an experience earned event comes in and it's for the type pull request. We could check in our achievement reactor whether we could actually do a count on the pull requests for the given user and decide based on that whether a new achievement should be triggered or not. But what I find a little more eloquent, so to say, is that pull request itself is an event as well, and an event that results in experience earned, but also possibly in an achievement being unlocked. And that's really that's what I find one of the beauties of designing with events, is that you really think about how you would describe this process as a human being and not just from a technical point of view. So I'm just going to add pull request merged event over here and quickly add that as well. I can pull request merged. And for now, we really only need to know the person whose pull request was merged, right? And now we can start making our reactor. So let's reactors add this one, the achievement reaction. And you can feel how everything that we've done up until this point has been merely some basic data flow, right? We have some events, we have projections which are useful in for example to generate lists or overviews on a person's profile, for example. But there really isn't much business logic here. And reactors together with aggregate roots are really a great way to to model the business flow. So I have an achievement reactor, which extends the reactor class, and it has handlers as well. So maybe on pull request merged, of course, event. And we'll also have on experience earned, right? Experience earned event, like so. Okay. Let's maybe start with experience earned for now. So when this event comes in, we want to decide whether an achievement should actually be unlocked. And let's say there are, well, we have to program this somewhere, and I'm going to do it in the reactor for now. But I'm already thinking about abstracting the kind of different achievements to separate classes in some way. But let's say that if the total amount of XP is 100, trigger an achievement. Total amount of XP is 1000, will trigger an achievement. Those two things, right? Well, it's actually like so. And of course, this should only happen once. It should only happen when the experience earned event that triggered the that went over the boundary. When that event is triggered, we should unlock the achievement, and that is maybe a good case to store some more data in the event. Previous amount, for example. That's actually makes me think there's even a better way of modeling this. Maybe we can do all of this in the aggregate root, right? So we're going to manage the state of experience in this aggregate root, and we'll make our reactor much more simple. We're going to keep track of our current experience count. So split amount is 0. And we'll have a protected function apply add experience earned. Sorry, experience earned event. Return nothing, and it will simply increase our amount, whatever's in the event. Okay. And now we can do a pretty simple diff here. Previous amount is this amount. And after we have recorded the event, We're going to hard code it for now, these achievements, but we'll make sure to make some changes on this later. If previous amounts is less than 100 and this amount is more equal than 100, we will trigger an achievement, and the same goes for thousands. So you can see how this isn't really properly structured code. We really want to abstract this away, because next time we want to add another achievement, we're adding a line there, and that really shouldn't be the case. So we will need some kind of achievement class that knows how to look at experience and determine whether an achievement should be triggered. So we're going to just call this unlock achievement, new unlock achievement, and actually we can, I'm not sure whether we have dependency injection here, so I'm going to do it like this for now. This UID and it's email, and the title is 100 XP. Okay. And the title is, we need to get it from the command, of course, the email. Okay. Good. Let's go back to our test. And let's actually create a fake aggregate test now, just to vary things up a little bit. So test achievement 400 XP. Okay. And we're going to copy this code. Okay. So pull requests is 50. We wouldn't copy this code because we were going to use aggregate root tests, right? Aggregate fakes. So that's experience aggregate roots, fake. Not sure. I don't think I will need UID, but given, let's give it an add experience event. That's the command, the experience earned event. Experience earned. So look, yes, it supports the syntax. Test as spaCy, and user ID doesn't matter. The amount, let's say 10, and the type doesn't really matter, of course. Experience type, pull request, like so. When, and this takes function, the experience aggregate roots. We're going to add another event. I'm going to need to copy to manually write this out. So the add experience command, and that's why we needed the UID. Doesn't really matter in this case, but we still need it. I'm going to clean this up in a second. And type is experience type pull request. Assert recorded. And we want to make sure the unlock achievement event is recorded with the proper UID and proper email. Test at Brand, of course. Spatie. And the title, let me check that for now, will be 100 XP. Nah, I imported the wrong class. Achievement unlocked. Yeah. Okay, good. Give this a run. Must be of type int. Oh yeah, of course. Null in here. Oh. Email user, of course. So, okay, let's see the difference. What's actually wrong? Okay, so we have an experience earned event, which actually makes sense. We also need to test for that. Experience earned with the email, and the amount was 50. Experience type request. And I need to wrap this in an array. And maybe that's what's wrong. So look, we have, there's no achievement unlocked event. And we're going to debug previous amount and this amount. And 60, of course. And now it will probably work. Yeah, 100. Like so. Okay, good. Someone else, if there's any way I can show this, of course. I'm not quite sure what you mean with it, Nicola. Is there any way to make test declarations separately, like with default mockery? That reminds me, I still wanted to show you something, because I mean, this is already quite the test, right? And what I used to do is create some kind of factories for my events and commands as well. So factories, events, and let's do the add experience earned event. But experience earned factory, prefer to have a static constructor on those. And these are just simple classes. There's you cannot use model factories that are built into Laravel, because these are just event objects. So we have to write it ourselves, but it's really not that difficult. So the create method will return an experience earned event, return new experience earned, right? And we're going to, let's have a look, email. We're going to ignore user ID for now, amount and type. So let's actually do it like this. Email, which is a string. And this is just a shorthand to add immutable functions with amount, which is an integer. Good. So we'll set the defaults here to test at spatie.be and amount equals 10 for now. Okay, so this email user ID we're going to ignore. This amount, and also because we're not really interested in the type right now, I'm just going to experience type pull request. and not make it configurable. Good. So that's the factory. You can see it's not really that difficult. And now let's just do it in line. That's the experience earned factory. New create, and we want it with amount 60. So, and with amount should be 50 here because this one is taken from the pull request, and we could do the same for the achievement unlock, but first maybe refactor it still. Experience earned factory to variable, and we probably want to move this to introduce fields. I'm just going to let it be for now. That maybe add achievement unlocked factory as well. Going to once you have these factories, they are very useful and you can reuse them, and it's a little overhead when writing them initially, but they really save time in the long run. So achievement unlocked factory. Let's take a look. Title is of course important. Email was also important. Title. Achievement unlocked. So user ID and then achievement unlocked factory. You create. Actually shorter to write this in full, but you can reuse and pre-configure factories as class instances and tests, and that really makes them very useful. It's explained in the book as well. Okay, so let's rerun this test. Okay, it's still green. That's good. So we have some logic in our aggregate root now, and I'm going to refactor this, but what I'm going to do is create separate classes. Well, one experience achievement class that will determine whether an achievement should be triggered, and return the title, and well, it will be wrapped in a DTO. Okay, so actually, by doing this, by managing this state in our aggregate root, we kind of have removed the use for our achievement reactor for now. Sending mails will be done with a reactor as well, but that's for another time. Let me check. Yes. So what I wanted to actually show was the pull request merge, right? Because whenever we want to trigger achievements whenever X amount of pull requests are merged. So we can do exactly that within our aggregate root as well. And we've already created that pull request merged method. So let's have a register pull request, maybe. Yeah. Should add in a command for that, but I really want to focus on this first. Apply pull request merge. By the way, the name of these methods don't really matter anymore. As of version 5, you can do this or whatever you want. But I prefer to call them apply in aggregate root because that's what's actually happening. So, so pull request merged. pull request merged, the event. And we're going to increment a counter, this pull request count, maybe. And we can basically do the same again. So this record that pull request merged. And we want the email, actually, let's register pull request. Register pull request with just the email. There's nothing really associated with it. Besides that, register pull request is the name of our command. So let's get it in here. Let's return ourselves as well. Get email and command get user ID, and do prefer to use named arguments here just for clarity. And now we can do the same kind of checks again. So if well, these are actually simpler because we're only incrementing the pull request count with one. So we don't need to take the previous version into account. So if pull request count is 10, we're going to unlock an achievement, right? I want this. Pull requests, and the count is hundreds. Call it a package master, something like this. Okay. And I'm going to extract all of this outside of our aggregate root, the logic behind determining whether an achievement should be unlocked. Because you can imagine this will grow rather large over time. Let's take a look at the comments for a moment. Someone new learned about Excalibur. What a cool little app. This is truly the best invention of 2000. Well, I think it's here since 2019, but this is an amazing application. It truly is. Someone else likes named arguments. Yeah, I do too. And should we avoid magic number? I don't know. Are there any magic numbers here? Let's write a normal test for all of this, because with testing, it's really this balancing game between writing as small unit tests as possible versus writing just one single integration test that covers much more. And you definitely need both of them. But I find integration tests too often be easier, but they have the downside of being a little bit more prone to errors, right? So we wrote a more unit-like test for testing our achievements. But what we really want to do is make sure that achievement is actually registered, projected, in fact, in the database. So let's do it for our pull request achievement, right? So pull request, yes, 100 requests. Okay, good. So, and of course, we're going to do this in a loop, right? So for each range 1 to 100, need a UID again. We're going to dispatch the register pull request command, the UID and the email, and that's it. So we're going to do this 100 times. And what we want to assert is that assert database has, let's have a look, the achievement, the user achievement projection per table of that one with a little bit of data. And in the email should be test spaCy, and we want the title to be package master. Okay. See what happens. I guess this probably will fail. Okay, good. I like that. I guess that's probably a good thing, a good point to finally wind down the stream, because we're already an hour in. And Freek told me an hour is the magic number. That's enough. So I'll probably continue this in another stream somewhere this week or next, if you liked it, of course. But I really like the progress that we made. We have a very basic experience system in place. I'm going to do some fine tuning behind the scenes as well, to especially to manage those achievements and to make those a little bit more dynamic and easier to use. But I really like what we have already. There's of course lots of work to do still, because let's have a look. We have covered some of those. We're not using the reactor anymore. That's good. We still need to add mails, but then of course we still need to support all kinds of triggers in here. And maybe what we want to do is, whenever a pull request is merged, we will need a reactor that, let me just, a pull request experience reactor, something like that. That will probably be over here and will result in more experience being added as well. Okay, good. I like this. I like where we're going with this, but I will stop the stream for now, and we will continue it next time. Thanks for watching. Have fun. Remember to check out our course. Let me just show it once more. Event sourcing laravel.com. Like so. We still have a discount going on, and if you're in countries that don't use euro or dollar, there's PPP available, and there are student discounts as well. You need to mail info@spacy.be, and we're sure we can figure something out. So thanks for watching. Have fun. Let me know what you thought about it on Twitter, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.